Welcome! I'm Bio, and today we are going to look at some Gegege no Kitaro games. There's quite a few of these games, surprisingly, for a series that, well, I guess it is pretty popular in Japan, but in the West it's kind of like unknown at this point. You know, some people are aware of it, but there's not even an official dub for any of the existing animes, so, yeah. But I thoroughly enjoy Gegege no Kitaro. I love the whole entire idea behind the yokai and everything and the stories that it tells. I think that's really cool. On the other hand, I watched the 2018 anime and yeah, I would say I enjoyed the first half of it, but not the second half as much. And I also watched Graveyard Kitaro, which was yeah, not too bad. I would recommend it if you haven't seen Kitaro's origin story. Graveyard Kitaro tells it quite well. But yes, today we're looking at Gegege no Kitaro games, and surprisingly, it starts with something as simple as the Famicom and goes all the way up to the Wii. So yeah, the time when they release games was kind of all over the place. Anyway, let's dive right in. I hope you enjoy. Let's go. The first Gegege no Kitaro game I'm going to be looking at today is Gegege no Kitaro Youkai Daimakyou on the Famicom. Now, there's an interesting little fact about this game. This game is the only Gegege no Kitaro game to ever get localized. I'm not joking when I say that. This game was not localized as a Gegege no Kitaro game, obviously. It was localized as Ninja Kid. So this game originally came out in 1986 and was developed by Toei and published by Bandai. And it's a pretty fair 2D platformer. So basically you play as Kitaro and you go around different stages. I think it's pretty cool. You can pick which stage you want to go in first. And you just gotta go around and kill yokai, and that's literally the game. I'm not particularly great at it, but yeah, that is literally the game. So you pick a stage, it goes into something like this. As you see, you've been on the ground, now we're on the carpet, which again, I always forget this guy's name. You know, I'm not very good with the other yokai names, really, if I'm honest. You know, I know Sandwich, I know that, like, was it the old man? I don't know his name. You got Cat Chick, you got Rat Man. All the simple ones I know. Wally Wool, best character. I know them, but some of the more, I guess, complex names I don't remember. But yeah, you just go around shooting yokai, and once you shoot enough yokai, a door will appear. You go through the door, and then you go and fight, I think, a boss or something. As you saw previously, the boss for that one was Backbeard, which is the big floating eye. And that's the entire game. How does it control? Yeah, it's pretty fine. You know, you can just, it's basically like a running shooter. So obviously the attack he's using is hair needles. That's one of Kitaro's trademark attacks. But yeah, you just go around shooting enemies with your hair needles. The controls are fine. You know, when I died, I kind of died from my own fault. There was one occasion which you might have just seen there where an object appeared on the screen very quickly and I had no time to react and it killed me. But it's pretty gracious. It's not a one-hit die kind of scenario. You know, you do have a little bit of leeway. But yeah, as a platformer, it's fine. It's okay. I can understand why this one got localized. You know, it's fine. Next up, we have the second and final Famicom Gegege no Kitaro game, Gegege no Kitaro 2 Youkai Gundan no Chousen. Released a year later in 1987 and also developed by Toei, this game is inherently different than the previous because you can probably tell just from seeing the gameplay here, it's an RPG. So, straight off the bat, it's no surprise this didn't get released in the West. And yeah, it's a pretty standard RPG. So you start off in an overworld, you run around and you have random encounters with, I assume, yokai, and that's basically the game. I automatically got the idea that I'm supposed to go through some kind of grind right at the beginning, because you see, like, you had Kitaro's house there in the middle of the overworld. You can go there and your health will get restored to full. But each one of these single yokais can take away over half of your health. Obviously, you know, you can beat them. The combat is literally press the first option to attack. Sometimes you dodge, sometimes the enemy dodges. It's a bit random, that mechanic. But, and the other options, I assume, just allow you to heal and do other things and just whatever. But, yeah, I assume there's a lot of, there must be some kind of grind, because like I said, it's like, the enemies can, you know, kill you across 2 enemies. Like that enemy can get my health down, like I said previously, to over halfway depleted, and then if you went up against another enemy, they would just basically decimate you. So yeah, you go to Kitaro's house, your health gets restored to full, as you can see just there, and then you go out and fight again. And that's as far as I got with the game, you know. And I guess it's fine, pretty basic RPG for being back on the Famicom. Yeah, that's all I have to say really. Next up, we have the very first Super Famicom Gegege no Kitaro game, Gegege no Kitaro Fukkatsu Tenma Daiou, which is listed as a role-playing game, I guess kind of. It was released in 1993, developed by Beck, and published by Bandai. And, yeah, it's like a 2D platformer kind of thing. You have, like, moves and attacks. The enemies' attack patterns are kind of erratic, if I'll be completely honest. And I didn't adapt to them very well. I didn't spend much time with this game because of this reason. I kind of just didn't like the fact that it just threw you straight in there. Kitaro has a health bar, but that would get depleted really quickly. Because I was like, oh, this is enemy flying around. What am I supposed to do? And then suddenly he attacks me. And I was like, I lost over half my health to him. Then this creature comes out. And I'm like, okay, so that's a bad creature. And then I try attacking it. Oh, I can't attack it until the mouth's open. It's like, yeah, very finicky. And then straight after you defeat just a couple of these enemies, you then go up against the big round dude you just saw then. Kind of like a little boss battle thing. And yeah, I kept losing against him. So yeah, I guess it's okay. Here he is, the man himself. I guess it's okay. I guess. That's all I can really say, if I'm honest. It's okay. But not really my type of game. Quite difficult for what I'm used to, if I be completely honest. But that's all I have to say. I didn't get very far at the end of the day. The sprite works quite nice, I guess. You know, I didn't like the fact that he just got thrown into the game willy-nilly and just got completely decimated really quickly. It's like the health bar does not even exist. Might as well not even exist. But yeah, anyway, so that was Gegege no Kitaro for the Super Famicom. Let's move on to the next game. Next up, we have a game I was unable to cover, and that is Gegege no Kitaro Youkai Donjaara, a Super Famicom Gegege no Kitaro game that requires some sort of add-on as far as I know. But looking just at the gameplay that I was able to find on YouTube, it just looks like some kind of Mahjong-based game or something. I'm not too sure. Like, literally, I don't know. I have no clue what type of game this is supposed to be, if I be completely honest. Maybe some kind of matching game, maybe some kind of Go Fish using Mahjong tiles or something. But yeah, either way, I was unable to play this game solely because you need an attachment to be able to play it. You need I don't know, but some kind of weird controller or something to be able to play the game. And it just doesn't work in the emulator, so there you go. So there you go. I'll just briefly say that this exists and blah, blah, blah. Next up, we have one of the by far most interesting Gegege no Kitaro games I played. And that's Gegege no Kitaro Youkai Souzoushu Arawaru. Arawaru? For the original Game Boy, developed by Act Japan, published by Bandai, and released in 1986. Does this look similar to anything, to any of you watching this video? Does this look like something familiar on the original Game Boy? Something that had 2 versions, a blue and a red version, and later had a yellow version. Yeah, so the aesthetic of the game has a very Pokemon look to it, and it plays quite a bit like that. But it becomes even more apparent when you jump into a fight with an enemy, which we'll just jump into very, very shortly. Here, wait for it. Here we go. Literally the same kind of animation. Boom. We're in a battle with an enemy, and it has a very, very similar look, pretty much identical look at this point, to a Pokemon game, to an early era Pokemon game. Well, Pokemon in general, really. I was actually taken aback by this. I was really surprised. And it actually made me really interested in the game and giving it a proper go. But then I had a look online and there doesn't seem to be any fan translation of this game, which is disappointing, but it is what it is. But yeah, anyway, the Gegege no Kitaro Pokemon game, as you could probably call it, plays pretty well. It plays like a standard Pokemon game. You go along, instead of countering Pokemon, I go up to these yokai, I fight them, or I just talk to them and I manage to recruit them. And that's basically the game. See? There you go. There's the yokai I've got so far. It's actually, yeah, it's not too bad. And if I be completely honest, I would love to actually do a full playthrough of this game, but yeah, not in not in English, so it is what it is. But yeah, they're definitely worth a look. I'll definitely say that. Next up, we have a Gegege no Kitaro game for the Sega Saturn, that being Gegege no Kitaro Maboroshi Fuyu Kaikitan. Released in 1996 and apparently both developed and published by Bandai. It's a Gegege no Kitaro Sega Saturn game that yeah, is not what I kind of expected because boom, it's a visual novel. Yeah, yeah, it's a visual novel. I'm not even joking. Now, the art style that this game's going for is immense. It is so good. It is so, like, it reminds me of the source material quite a fair bit. You know, I've seen a lot of the original source material. Never read the manga, but of Gegege no Kitaro. I've only watched the 2018 anime and Graveyard Kitaro. But it had, look at this. Look at this just scene of Kitaro sitting with his dad and chatting. Just the art style screams like original Shigeru Miyazaki art style. It's brilliant, if I be honest. It looks really, really good. And yeah, I guess then it fits for being a visual novel, I guess. But besides that, I haven't really got much else to say. Again, like I said, it's a visual novel. It's all in Japanese. I don't understand what's happening. I was just pressing the A button repeatedly. So yeah, besides that, I haven't really got much else to say. You get a decision here and there, but that's about it. Next up, we have a Gegege no Kitaro game for the original PlayStation, and that is Gegege no Kitaro Noroi no Nikuto Katachi Tachi. Developed by Beck, published by Bandai, and released in 1997. It sports a pretty interesting opening FMV, which the art style looks pretty spooky, you know. But then, when you get into the actual game itself, it kind of throws you for a loop. And I'll show you right now. Here you go. Here's the actual game itself. So yeah, it kind of makes me feel like this game's meant to be similar to that of a, I don't know, a survival horror game of some kind. I don't know, if I be completely honest. What I do know is this: I never left this room. I never left this room. I repeatedly, and I mean repeatedly, went up to the goddamn door trying to leave the room, and it just ignored me. I don't know what it's asking me, what it's saying. I see a bag on the desk. I guess I was supposed to pick up, but each time I got near that bag, it ended up look here. I'm pretty sure. Oh, I think I actually picked the bag up there, but there was quite a few occasions where I went to pick up the bag, and I was literally facing the bag, and I pressed the circle button, obviously the interact button in Japan, and it put me in the locker or it put me under the desk. It's just like, I just want to pick up the bag. And then once I pick up the bag, I go to try and leave. And look, I can't leave still, so I'm still supposed to do something in this room. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, though. It's really, really weird. I don't get it. Either it just puts me in the locker, or I go into the teacher's desk. Yeah, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I couldn't leave this room. I was quite disappointed, actually. It was not very user-friendly, and then obviously there was issues with picking items up, as I said, about the brief little school bag on the desk. I don't know who I'm playing as here. Am I playing as Kitaro? Am I playing as some school student? Whatever. I don't know. But anyway, I honestly didn't enjoy my time with this game, so. Next up, we have the first and only Gegege no Kitaro PlayStation 2 game, Gegege no Kitaro Ibun Youkai Kitan, developed by Winkysoft and published by Konami. It's at this point where Konami, I think, acquired the license to create 2, maybe 3, I think 3 actually, 3 Gegege no Kitaro games. So, yeah, because again, there was a massive jump from being released in 1997 to 2003, because that's when this game came out. But yeah, I like the art style. Don't get me wrong, I do like the art style in this game, but it has a major issue, which we'll get to in a minute. So, after going through a really lengthy intro sequence where you're just going through, like, text box after text box after text box, which is understandable. It is an RPG at the end of the day. I get that. I also like the aesthetic. I don't really understand Kitaro having a computer in his room, as you can see back there. I don't get that, but whatever. But then you get into the actual game itself, which took a long time to get there, mind you. A long old time to get there, to the actual game itself, where you're in this dark hallway and you've got tank controls and you're turning around looking at things, moving really, really slowly. I'm guessing playing as Kitaro as he's walking through here, and the atmosphere, I was like, ooh, this looks really, really good. There's a lot of atmosphere here, a lot of like spookiness going on here. But it didn't last long, mainly because I seemed to come to like this invisible wall. I don't know what I was supposed to do. I was turning around, wondering what the hell I'm supposed to be doing, where the hell I'm supposed to be going. But yeah, I just kind of reached an end, and it just wouldn't let me go further anymore. For example, here we are. Here's what I'm talking about. Here's the invisible wall. I literally get to walk all of 2 seconds, and I reach this invisible wall. And I'm pressing forward on the analog stick, which allowed me to go forward before. Now I can't. I turn around. I look on the ground. I look around, I'm pressing every button on the controller to try and figure out what I'm supposed to do here in order to progress. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Maybe I'm supposed to go back, but then I turn around, and guess what? I try to turn around and go back. No, can't do that either. So, I don't know what I was supposed to do here. Not a clue. I was pressing every button on the controller, and nothing was working. So, yeah. So, that's my experience with the game. Go for a lengthy fucking intro sequence just to be disappointed here, where it had looked like it had potential, but then it decided to just invisible wall me for whatever reason. Next up, we have the second and last Gegege no Kitaro original PlayStation game, Gegege no Kitaro Gyakushuu Youma Daichisen. No developers listed, published by Konami and released in 2003. Yes, a PlayStation 1 game in 2003. I don't know either, it's Konami. But yeah, this game's got a cool aesthetic. It's like a 2D beat-em-up, kind of. Don't worry about me wailing on this guy here. It just throws you into his boss battle, and I don't think I can die here, luckily. Or else we wouldn't have gotten far in this game, and I'd just beat the hell out of him. But when you actually get into the game itself, and you're going around just fighting normal enemies and that, it's not too bad, if I be honest. Except for one glaring issue. It requires you to do platforming at some instances. Platforming. And I'm going to be honest with you, the platforming in this game is not good. It's very, very loose, very janky, and it doesn't control well at all. But that's only the platforming. If you just were running along the floor, jumping up on top of things here and there, it didn't really require any real platforming whatsoever. This game would be a classic in my eyes, or a really cool game. You seem to just go along this small level, and then you come up against this like boss battle Youkai, and you fight him at the end. It seems pretty cool, but yeah, the platforming in this game just ruined it for me, if I be completely honest. But and that's all I really have to say. Next up, we have Konami's final game, a Gegege no Kitaro Game Boy Advance game. That being Gegege no Kitaro Kiki Ippatsu Youkai Rettou, a action RPG, apparently, that was also released in 2003. They literally released all three of these Gegege no Kitaro games in a very short distance between each other. It's in 2003, like the later half of 2003. It's kind of weird. But it's actually probably the best one out of the three that I played. Like, the second one had style to it, the first one had cool atmosphere, but then it was ruined by everything else, in my opinion. Again, this is my experiences with these games at the end of the day. But with this one, it was just a pretty bog standard platformer, if I be honest, and it worked. That's literally it. The platforming and the controls felt much nicer than they did in the PlayStation 1 Konami Gegege no Kitaro game. Much more fluid, much more precise with the jumping. But yeah, I haven't really got much else to say besides that. There is a lot of like times where you're dropping down from a platform, and you end up running into an enemy which you don't mean to accidentally. But besides that, I haven't really noticed any other issues with the game. But yeah, a not too bad Gegege no Kitaro platformer for the Game Boy Advance. I ain't got no issue with that. Yeah, absolutely fine. Next up, we have a Gegege no Kitaro Wii game, Gegege no Kitaro Youkai Daiou Kai. So it seems like Bandai Namco, or Bandai back then, but now Bandai Namco, acquired the license to do another Gegege no Kitaro game, or in this case two, to coincide with the newer anime at the time that came out. I think it started in 2006 and ended in 2008, I think. So this game is developed by Beck, and it is basically just minigames. That's literally it. It's like a party game, Gegege no Kitaro game, and yeah, there's some pretty cool games here, in all fairness. You have this soccer game, which or football game, as I like to call it here in the UK, where you just hit a ball into each other's goals and Wally Wall is just there chilling, just stopping that. And then you've got this running game, mini game, where you're jumping over things, collecting points. I think I'm playing as obviously the towel. I can't remember its goddamn name. Yeah, you have some other games as well, like rolling a big daruma kind of thing going along. I wasn't very good at that one. The controls didn't really mesh well with me. There was another one where you're playing some kind of tennis game, and another one where I think you're playing Janken, which is rock, paper, scissors. Yeah, if I be completely honest, I could see this as being a fun little distraction with friends. And then, yeah, besides that, I haven't really got much else to say. It's just a fun little distraction with friends. It works for what it is. You know, the setup I had, it was sent to work, and yeah, no issue. And finally, we have Gegege no Kitaro for the Nintendo DS, known as Gegege no Kitaro Youkai Daikisen, very similar sounding name to the Wii game. Also developed by Beck and released in 2008. This is the final Gegege no Kitaro game we got, besides one more. There was one more Gegege no Kitaro game which released exclusively in the arcades, but this is the last official Gegege no Kitaro console game. And yeah, it's another 2D platformer like the Konami GBA game, and I think it's perfectly fine. It works. It seems to have this kind of database thing where the more you attack a yokai, the more you fill out its index page, and it gives you information about the yokai in question. That's pretty cool. You know, I wish I could understand it, but it is what it is. And yeah, it's just the platforming's fine. It works for what it is. And then you end up, well, at least for me, I ended up going up against this boss cat thing. I don't know what the hell this was, and it wasn't particularly too difficult. But yeah, it was not too bad for a 2D platformer, if I be completely honest. You know, similar or same quality as the GBA one, really. You know, just the sprites look slightly nicer because it's on the DS. So there you go. That's all of the Gegege no Kitaro games that I'm going to cover. Now, I actually covered pretty much all of them here. There's one game I missed for the Sega Picto, which is like it's basically like a Fisher-Price toy. I don't know how to explain it. It's like that. I can't remember that name. What that thing is. It's like a video game console for really young kids. That's basically what it is. And there's a Gegege no Kitaro game for that came out in 1996, which is like got mini games and shit. I think, I don't know. But and like I said, besides that, you got the Gegege no Kitaro arcade game, which is Gegege no Kitaro Yokai Yoko Cho Matsuri D Battleja, weird name. And there's also the Gegege no Kitaro Sharp X1 game, which I didn't have a look at. But I'm not here to look at every single Gegege no Kitaro game. I'm here to look at the ones that I want to cover, I want to have a look at myself. But anyway, we had some ups and we had some downs in this collection of games. I'm kind of disappointed that the 2018 anime didn't get a new Gegege no Kitaro game. That would have been really cool if they had, like, I don't know, if Bandai Namco funded a new Gegege no Kitaro game developed by some developer. Because a lot of different animes are getting video games nowadays. If Captain Tsubasa can get a video game, if Black Clover, Night Sidonia, I know they're popular, but still, Gegege no Kitaro is very, very popular in Japan, so I'm very surprised that something like that didn't happen. It didn't get some PS4 game or something. It doesn't have, I don't know what kind of game you would make off Gegege no Kitaro game. You could go with a spooky game, but I don't know whether or not that would work. Would you work if you made it into a beat-em-up? I don't know. It's hard to say. I wouldn't know what kind of Gegege no Kitaro game should be made. Maybe someone if you want to say in the comments what you think a good Gegege no Kitaro concept game would be, what kind of genre it would have. Let me know. I'd be very interested. But anyway, I've been Bio. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hearing me ramble on about these Gegege no Kitaro games. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.